So today we're going to do the WildAx Europa, which is on a 6.4 metre chassis. Fuel filler cap, not affected by the central locking system because you're going to be using your ignition key to get into there. Turn the key anti-clockwise and the cap should just pop out. This has got the AdBlue system on it because it's a Euro 6. That's monitored by an internal gauge on the dashboard. When we open up the cab door, we can see the passenger seat, and beneath that you've got your vehicle toolkit, and then underneath the cab floor you've got your engine battery. Up on the end of the dashboard is your bonnet release. There's a central lever which is just above the T in Fiat. Push up on that orange yellow lever and that will release the bonnet. Over on the left hand side you've got your screen wash and then your radiator fluid and your brake fluid. There's no hydraulic fluid on these are electric power assisted steering. Your oil filler cap just there. Dipstick again is also monitored internally, and should you ever need to jump start the vehicle to save you trying to expose the engine battery, there's a little flip up cap just there. Positive goes onto there and the negative goes up onto the bolt at the centre of the block. Okay. When we turn our attention to the driver's side of the vehicle, you've got your access for your gas fill point. So you have a nozzle, an attachment which goes into there and allows you to fill a tank which is just behind the rear axle with gas for your LPG supply. Just inside on the dashboard, when the engine is running, you'll see an LED display light up on here telling you how much gas you've got within the vehicle. Don't let them go completely empty. It can create a kind of vacuum inside the tank. When you are filling them up, when it first kicks back on you and clicks, then stop filling. Don't try and overfill the gas tank. Next on the tour is the toilet cassette. On these, the flush water is fed from the main onboard fresh water tank, so you just press the button to flush. There's a lift up lever at the base. Pull that one all the way out and that enables you then to empty the cassette out. So, green cap comes off the top, tip the whole thing over your sluice for emptying, press the green button in at the top and then your waste should come out to the bottom. Inside the top of the cap you've got a measuring cup, so you can use the green chemicals because we're up here in the Highlands. You can use the sachets, you can use the tea bags or the pods, mix with about 2 litres of water and then slide the whole cassette back in and it locks back into position ready for use. Further along the side of the vehicle we've got your freshwater filler cap, slightly larger of the keys. Key in, turn the whole key around anti-clockwise and then turn the cap anti-clockwise and you can hose pipe your water supply in. Just below that you've got 2 taps, blue one and a grey one. The blue one is the fresh water drain. WildAx recommend that you don't travel with water in the onboard tanks, and then you've got one for the wastewater for draining off the water that's collected from the shower tray vanity unit from the kitchen sink. Ventilation for the fridge, no real maintenance involved in those, but you'll notice that if you have got the fridge on, there should be some heat being dissipated out the side of those. And at the back you've got the exhaust here for the room heating, water heating system. If it's running on gas you might get a little bit of a condensation plume coming off of there, that's perfectly normal. Just above that you've got your mains flap. We always recommend that you connect to the side of the van first of all and disconnect and then connect into your power supply on site. There are some parking sensors across the back as well as your reversing camera, and when I open up the back doors we'll go into the U-shaped lounge, and the reason for doing this is because underneath this seat in the corner here is the water heater itself. On the water heater there is a drain valve which is located at the other side of my finger. So you'll see this yellow tab at the base. That yellow tab, when it's lifted up to the vertical position, allows the content of the water heater to drain out as frost protection. It needs to be pushed back to the horizontal position in either direction so that the water can flow through from the pump that's above it and obviously then flow through to your hot water taps. So this is fitted with a 2-lay awning. So tee up into the slot and wind out. It's a little bit windy here, so we'll do the short version on this one. These are recommended for fair weather conditions. When it gets wet or windy, they should be put away. So Clipped up inside the front of the pelmet, you've got 2 spring-loaded legs. You deploy them separately, slide them down through, and then lock off the lever accordingly. Same on the other side, and then walk the awning out as you wind it back out. Because it's windy, I'm hanging on to this leg, so then push the awning back in, make sure that the leg is retracted, and then it should then lock back up into its spring position, and the same on the opposite side. And then wind the awning back in. If they have got a little bit damp, as soon as the opportunity allows, get the awning wound out, just get it dried off. They can get a little bit sweaty otherwise. Simple and easy to use, a little bit of a fiddle, but you can easily get the leg out as well. We're now underneath the back of the van behind the rear axle, so you've got spare wheel in front. You've got this access panel for the isolator valve. You might have to switch these off if you're maybe getting onto the ferry. If you have to do any kind of sort of servicing or maintenance work, then it's recommended that they're shut down. So by turning the valve clockwise, you're turning the gas supply off completely, and then by turning it anti-clockwise, you're turning the gas on. Make sure that the shield is properly reattached. So it does require a little bit of pressure, and then it should lock back into position like so. So at the back of the vehicle, you've got your gas isolation point. We've left clipped into the tab the little extension pipe that goes on. So this bit will go onto a flexible rubber hose to your appliance. Turn the device lever through 90 degrees, and that allows the gas then to go onto that gas barbecue point, for example. Just before we get inside the vehicle, you've got an electric step. Step will retract on ignition, and then we've got a fly screen blind. 2 hands to draw the blind all the way across, and then back. So we've repositioned ourselves back inside the van now, and we're going to go through the 12-volt control panel, which is above the passenger seat. So press the bottom left-hand switch, and that activates the panel. And then above it, you have a means of turning on the 12-volt system, which controls, amongst other things, the lights. There's a separate switch for your water pump, which you would use on demand, and for the outside awning light as well. A little bleep there because we're running a little bit low on the fresh water supply. Battery level indicators for both batteries, and your fresh water and wastewater level indicators. Program buttons enable you to go into the functions for adjusting the clock, the colour of the background as well. When you want to shut the 12-volt system down, turn off and then press firmly on the bottom switch, and it should shut down the entire 12-volt system. So we're now back into the U-shaped lounge at the back of the vehicle. WildAx do an absolutely fantastic job of centralising all of the 12-volt and mains equipment into the back. So we've got our battery chargers, our solar controllers located in here, 12-volt fuse, your leisure battery is located in front, and then down in the bottom left-hand corner you have your RCDs for the main supply that's coming into the van. So we've already shown you how to get gas into the van, and obviously how to isolate it underneath the back of the vehicle. Underneath the cooker, behind another flap, are your isolator taps for your individual appliances. So you'll notice that these are all in a vertical position at the moment, which means there's gas flow going through to those different devices. And if you turn any one of them through 90 degrees, then you'll isolate the supply to that specific appliance. So this model's fitted with the Truma water heater gas heating system. It gives you the option of using a blown air heating system for air circulation, which can be operated via mains or gas, as well as a water heater that can operate in the same way as one combi unit. We've already got it set up and turned on at the moment, but I'll just walk you through the sort of the basic systems. When you first turn on the appliance, you'll see these icons appear. First icon that you come to on the left hand side is your room temperature. So when you tap on that icon, you can control the temperature setting. If it's turned off, you won't see the flame on the top. If you turn the system up, to its maximum setting, then you may well see this flame start to flicker as it engages the heating system and tries to achieve that. When the flame becomes solid, then it's reached that temperature setting. 18-19 degrees is normally quite comfortable in these fans with the level of insulation that you have. Water heating, we've already primed the water heater through, so you'll want to turn the water heater on. If you set it in the eco mode, it'll heat the water up to around about 40 degrees centigrade. If you set it up to 60, to hot, then it will heat the water up to 60, maybe if you want to have a shower, and you can boost it between the two settings if it's required. You want to choose where your supply comes from. So if you were perhaps not using mains hookup, then you can use it in a pure gas mode and it will light up a burner and give you the supply for the water heating or the room heating system. There's a pure electric mode as well, and it has two settings on it to allow for the different variances that you sometimes get on campsites. So there's a 900 and an 1800 watt electric element. And then you have the ability, perhaps in colder weather conditions, to combine both that electric and gas together to give you a maximum use of appliances and resources. With the room heating system on, you can increase the speed and performance of the fan. With the water heating and the room heating system switched off, you can just use the fan on its own to recirculate that airflow around inside the van, increasing or decreasing the supply. That, in conjunction with the windows being open, the roof light, should give you quite a plentiful movement of air. We can set our clock up for the time that it is, and that can then work in conjunction with the timer control, and you can set up a rudimentary system so that if you want the water heating or the room heating system to come on tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning and go off at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, then you can achieve that. Finally, there's a settings button which allows you to reset the device if that's required and adjust on the controls for the main panel itself. And currently, because we're plugged into the main supply, then you'll see that little symbol just down there. If you want to switch the whole thing off completely, press and hold in on the button for a couple of seconds and you should see the word off appear and it will start to shut down. With a plentiful supply of gas coming through, you should be able to easily light up the igniters. So hold them in for a couple of seconds and you should get gas flow coming through to all of your burners. There's no isolators on these lids, so let everything cool down and switch off before you try and draw the lid down, otherwise it will cause the gas to explode. Oven and grill is in a combination. If you turn the dial anti-clockwise fully, then you'll light up the oven. Turn it back to the off position and turn it clockwise to about 2 o'clock and you'll be able to light up the grill. With the water pump turned on, you should be able to draw water straight through from the van. We've already shut the drain valve for the water heater, so you should wait until you get a continuous supply of water coming out. We heated up this water earlier just to prove to you that the system's working. Make sure that you maintain a water supply through to your vanity unit and also to the shower as well. And that ensures that you don't get any airlocks, you won't get the pump overrunning. And it's worth noting that on the toilet, the flush water comes from the onboard fresh water tank also, so when you press the blue button you should get adjusted water going around the inside of the toilet bowl. So in this WildAx we have a three-way Thetford fridge. So on the raise button, press and hold in for a couple of seconds and that turns the appliance on. It's currently set into the mains mode. This has an automatic energy selection system on it, which we'll show you later on. You can change the modes by tapping in onto the end switch. And you can access then your vehicle battery if you were maybe driving the vehicle, or you can automatically go into the gas. It should self-ignite on the gas system as long as there's a gas supply for it to feed from, and the lights will stay on. You'll notice there's a little faint blue light here, so even though the main panel has gone out, it's still indicating that it's running on something. If you change the setting to something that's inaccessible, so we're deliberately going to go to the engine battery when the engine battery is not running, you'll see after the panel fades out with the warnings, you'll see that you're left with a red light just into there. The automatic mode will self-detect what supply it thinks is strongest. So it knows at the moment that we're plugged into mains. If we switch off the mains, it'll automatically detect and go over to the gas. If we start the vehicle up, it'll go over to the 12 volt mode. Touch the switch again and you can control the temperature within the fridge. The more of these blocks that are illuminated, the colder the fridge will become. To switch the appliance off, press and hold on for a couple of seconds and the whole panel should go dark. Turning our attention to the cab, we've got cab Remus blinds. So these have a magnetic strip on the leading edge so that they can lock into position, and then your front windscreen blinds draw together and lock into position like so. Always make sure when you push them back in that they are locked in both the top and the bottom positions. That way they're not going to come and spring open on you in an inconvenient moment when you go around a bend. Over on the driver's door, you've got your electric mirror adjustments. So you can then turn the joystick into the direction of the mirror that you want to adjust and move it around accordingly. And that includes the blind spot mirrors at the base as well. And just behind that, you've got your electric window controls and then a means of centrally locking the vehicle as well. Over on the right hand side of the steering wheel, you've got a couple of little buttons. You can disable the auto stop start system, so when you slow down and come to a halt, traffic lights for example, if the engine is warm enough then it will shut off before you pull away. You've got your rear fog lamp switch and then you've got headlamp beam adjustment. This is normally running in a regular sort of fuel consumption mode, but there is the ability to turn on an eco mode on this as well. And just above that you've got your display for your gas tank. The stalk on the right hand side is for your wiper controls, and you turn the dial in the various positions to get the different speeds and settings, and then pull back for your screen wash. The left hand stalk, you turn the dial for your exterior lights and then push away for your main beam. Central controls are there for the use of the radio, and then you've got your speed limiter and cruise controls over on the right hand side. Behind the steering wheel, where my fingers are located at the moment, is a means of changing the radio or media settings and then a volume control on the opposite side. When we move our attention over to the middle of the vehicle, you've got your main radio on or off button, and you can turn the system off. When you engage reverse, it'll engage the reversing camera. You have heated wing mirrors, as well as another means of locking the vehicle centrally, and a traction control device that can be turned off, and then your normal air conditioning controls and air circulation controls that are located below. USB charging points and 12 volt charging points are located there. Above the cup holder is a media input, so if you want to use other devices through the head unit, then you can do so. Pull back and up on the clipboard and open up the padlock, and you can use it for other media devices if you wish to leave those plugged in. And then underneath here at the back of the top glove box is a ventilation system that's connected up to the air conditioning control, so if it's on, it creates a kind of sort of mini fridge effect inside that little cabinet. And then you have a lower glove box as well. So that concludes the handover for this WildAx Europa. I sincerely hope that you've enjoyed this little short presentation. If you have any questions, you can always get in contact with us by phone or by email. Hopefully this van's going to give you lots of miles and lots of smiles. So beyond behalf of Highland Camper Vans, thank you very much for watching.